black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. Today, and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. And are not afraid to say it. And are not.
And we are not afraid to say it.
Absolutely.
Welcome to blackwestchester.com 10-year anniversary. We are rocking.
Anniversary. It's our anniversary.
I ain't gonna sing that, bro.
Do you know what today is? All right.
I'm not singing that. I had thought about it. I'm like, nah, I'm not. That's a little too feminine. I ain't saying. I ain't singing that one. But what's up, everybody that's watching on X, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. Facebook, LinkedIn, everybody that's watching everywhere. Welcome to the Black Westchester People Before Politics show, where it's the news with the black point of view. And later on, we will be having the Mamaroneck Mayor, Sharon Torres. And I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago that the Mamaroneck Mayor exposed alleged corruption in the West Hab housing project, shaking the Westchester County Village. And last week, I wasn't able to.
I don't know if it shook the village, but it made my phone blow the hell up, though.
She shook AJ's phone when the article came out. Now,
and it's called the Hunter Tier Lot Affordable Housing Development. Just so you know, for anybody listening.
So last Sunday, which ungratefully I didn't make it. It was my birthday weekend. I had my granddaughter for that Sunday. She wanted to spend Saturday night. Well, actually, my son and my granddaughter, his daughter, took me out to see Deadpool and Wolverine for my birthday. And she wanted to spend the night, so she spent the night. And that Sunday, we took her home. So by the time I got back, I wasn't able to make it on. I logged in right exactly when they logged off. So I did try to get back, but I know AJ and Dr. Bob had a great conversation. So this show is actually, for everybody who's watching, is actually a follow-up show from last Sunday, where
she reached out to me. The mayor emailed me.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, explain.
So
explain the follow-up after the article, so we know where we got.
So basically, what Damon said, there was the mayor alleged a few things at a village board meeting. Damon put the video up and what she said, and then I got text messages from Rich Nightingale, from the CEO of West Hab, and several others complaining that the article was one-sided and was full of lies and untruths, but no one could tell me what the lies and untruths were. So I had a conversation with Leilani on the phone, Manny, Emmanuel, Manny, the other trustee, reached out to me. Lou Young gave me a call. So we put the three of them on, had them come on to talk about why they felt that what was wrong. One of the things that was said was that it's in litigation now, so they couldn't really talk about the details of it, which is what I wanted to really get to. But then they were given a bunch of background on the situation and the whole nine. And you can watch last week's show to hear what they had to say in great detail, so I don't mischaracterize anything that was said. So right after that, we did the show Sunday. Monday, I got a email from Mayor Sharon Torres, who I actually met on some criminal justice Zoom thing that was a series of Zooms on criminal justice or something. And she reminded me and everything. So she asked about coming on. She talked about them coming on, and she wanted to have her say, and we already had an invitation to her anyway. So she will be on today to hopefully bring more to the story. Now, it reminded me of a conversation, Damon, that I had with Ty Milburn back in his News 12 days in the hallway in City Hall. And he was like, yo, when you deal with these municipalities, and he was talking specifically about Mount Vernon, but not just Mount Vernon, it's like peeling back peeling back an onion. It's
Exactly.
like, you got to talk to 10 different people to get somewhat near the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
we posted with the mayor, said it at the open public forum. We had the trustees come on and share what they have to. The mayor is coming on now. We've extended the invitation to Rich Nightingale, the CEO of Westhab, who has, after blowing me up on my phone, has refused to accept our invitation. But hey, I wanted to give him a chance to, put his 2 cents in the whole thing, and we can start getting to the bottom of this. So bottom line, the mayor said in her video, and we probably will show a clip of that later, she said something along the lines of the problem of, actually she was quoted, she was questioning whether or not the process for the RFP was ethical, unethical, or even worse. And she says in the video she's not against affordable housing. She's just, the process wasn't done right. So, which led to a whole bunch of phone calls and messages that I got saying that what she said in the video wasn't true and had half-truths. And she's carrying water for the people that do not want affordable housing in Mamaroneck. So that's where we are, that we're gathering the information and we're bringing it to you as we get it. We're letting you hear from the people themselves. And bottom line, with everything else we do, y'all are going to have to take the information and, make your own decisions on what you believe and what you believe and who's saying what and all that good stuff. So we're not going to take up too much time because we're going to bring her on. I do want to say again, Damon brought it, this is our 10-year anniversary show. 10 years ago, August 3rd, 2014, we had our first show. Shout out to DJ Cruz and his studio.
Big shout out to DJ Cruz.
Right, his studio in the Mix Radio, which made all this possible because all we basically had to do was show up.
Right.
He had all the cameras, the equipment, the microphones, and every time we came in, he was tweaking it, the backgrounds. He had everything there. Like, we just had to literally show up. And it gave me, then I learned how to do the show and work the equipment and stuff like that and start producing the show so he didn't have to do that part. And I learned a lot from him and his studio. And so I wanted to give him a big shout out because, we decided to do this. Actually, Damon was invited to a show called The Power Hour with Priscilla Ichi and Dion, I forget his last name, and two others.
Who passed away.
Actually. Right.
So brother Rick Muhammad's son.
Right. So it was right after, it was 2014. So it was like Eric Garner and Mike Brown and Damon, heads of Black and law enforcement, was getting calls from everywhere. So he got called to come on to speak about that and about, nobody being brought to justice, things Damon was speaking about. I went there, as I did in the beginning, just to take pictures and document him being on the air. And Damon was like, yo, this is a good studio. Had a conversation with Cruz. And that next Sunday, we did the first show. We wanted to do Sunday because, like, the traditional black talk radio was always Sundays, like Sunday mornings. But a lot of times for the church crowd, they didn't get a chance to hear it. It was either early in the morning or during church. So we decided to do it later in the evening so we wouldn't miss the church crowd as well, and we could, have everybody. And 403 or 4 episodes later, here we are, 10 years later, still giving you that real talk for the community. And it's been a journey. We've had a number of co-hosts. The first was Sister Soldier of the crew, Cynthia Turnquest Jones, who's with us.
And let me congratulate Cynthia for just being sworn in as the president of the Mount Vernon chapter,
the Westchester Black
Women's Political Caucus. Big shout out to my sister Cynthia.
Congratulations.
She has been born for, and I text her and I said, well, you got to keep it blackety black. And she didn't respond yet.
so she was the first. Yeah, she was the first.
She was the
first co-host for at least over the first 100 episodes. So a couple of weekends she couldn't make it. We had Janelle, we had Juanita Lewis come in and guest host. We had Andy Falk from the Workers Family Party. We had Charles Stern from Red Blue Talk. And the longest co-host, Lorraine Lopez, came in somewhere.
Dr. Bob. Can't forget Dr. Bob.
Wait, but I'm saying came in just before or around the 100th episode, because she was in there for the 100th episode. So she came a couple of weeks before that, a couple episodes before that. And then Dr. Bob, who has been holding us down and still holds us down. He's in the lab right now. You know how you do, working on some graphs and charts and data and all that stuff. So he won't be here today. But he personally been holding down the show and holding me down as well. Holding Black Westchester, taking me to go pick up the paper, helping to do the distribution, and doing anything, getting in where he could fit in wherever he can. So shout out to Dr. Bob, whose birthday was Monday. Just passed 2 days after Damon. So he went on and, his boys took him out. And, Dr. Bob is a lightweight drinker, and they took him out for some drinks, and he was out the box the next day.
Amazing.
But, he had a good time. You know what I'm saying? It's the first time he really been out in a while, because Bob be working on something, researching and putting the data together and always working on something. So writing grants and stuff. So he needed to enjoy himself. So yeah, we've been here. We've had anybody on the show. Andrew Stewart Cousins was on our 10th show. We've had, rest in peace, Hafiz Muhammad, who's a student minister, head of Mosque number 7. Rest in peace. We've had Ron Law, what's his name? Bob Law, legendary radio host. We've had everybody, any elected official in Westchester, and people like Yusef Salam and Jamani Williams and New York City Mayor Eric Adams. They've all been on the show.
And rest in peace, Dr. Julio Cavallo.
Oh yes, and
the Independence Party. He was almost a regular guest.
Absolutely.
He was almost a regular guest, and he gave great information about the electoral process, about how politics works for the common people. He was in favor of term limits on all lines of political lines, and he was a wealth of information, and he will be missed. Like I said, Hafiz Muhammad, my brother, and it was beautiful to have him on. And he used to call me and he used to say, brother, I was with the minister this weekend, and let me tell you what he said. And the next thing I was like, man, you got to come on the show. And so he used to come on the show all the time, giving direct messages to black people from Minister Farrakhan. And it was an honor, you know, to have that brother on the show, doing what he was doing in his position, and knowing him for so many years. I used to joke with Brother Hafiz that he was the reason why I broke up with my fiance in the 90s. I always blamed him that it was his fault. And he used to always say, well, brother, I saved your life. Because he used to tease me. He used to say, brother, what are you doing? You can't be engaged and living together. Y'all should be married by now. And every Sunday when I used to go to the mosque, he said, brother, did you get married yet? Did you get married yet? Did you get married? And he stayed on me so much. So I went back and I went to my fiance at the time. I said, look, we can't be just living together. We got to get married. And then she said, well, I don't know. And I packed my stuff and bounced and got me a little studio, because he was like, don't waste your time playing house. Your man's supposed to be married to a woman and get his blessings from God. Do not waste your time playing house with a woman. And which is true by scripture. But I used to always joke him that he was the reason he broke up my relationship. And we used to laugh about it. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, doing this work that we've done, AJ, you know, over these past 10 years, we made friends and we made enemies. But at the end of the day, we helped a lot of people, you know, and we are doing God's work in this. And we are independent. We are unbossed. Ain't not one damn sponsor telling us what to say or how to say it or how to flip it. You know, me and AJ disagree sometime on issues, but we talk about it and we discuss, you know, the differences, because we all have differences. But at the end of the day, you know, we run and we own this shit. This ain't no black job like other radio hosts around here spitting narratives. That's a black job. This is straight up news with a black point of view and trying to empower black people, not make black people be slaves, not promote agendas that are not ours. You know, that's what you're seeing right now in this political climate. I don't care what side you on. I really don't, because I'm not following the donkey or the elephant. I'm following the lamb. That's a whole different story and a whole different time to talk about it.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is, like, we gotta just continue to do what we do, and God has blessed us, and God is going to continue to bless us for being honest with the people, whether they like it or not. You know, absolutely. I really don't care, you know, because, you know, don't nobody pay these bills. We do. We ain't bowtowing to nobody, and we never will. So
and we had people try to buy our silence.
Oh, absolutely.
And checks have been ripped up, and money has been refused. Because their intention wasn't to support us. Their intention was to silence. Like, I've even been offered jobs, and they were really good jobs that I could really use. The paycheck, 6-figure paycheck, but it wasn't to support us. It was to shut down and silence their greatest critic. You know what I'm saying? The person holding their feet to the fire. And if I took those jobs for whatever administration, whether it was city, county, or state, I couldn't criticize them as much because I'm taking their check. And that would have been like a lot of people worried about losing my check and losing my insurance and losing my job. You know, so I personally have been thugging this out. And I want to say shout out to all the people that have followed us and supported us, because the reason we're still here for 10 years is because of all of you. Absolutely. A lot of y'all have made donations. There's a lot of people who don't want to be named who have been like, yo, hey, let me meet with you real quick. What you do is too important. Yo, this is for you, to keep you going. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you do a lot of the writing and you do all of the stuff for Black Westchester, for everybody else. This is for you to keep you going, because they know I don't really get a salary from this. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
we've been really thugging it out, and I just want to say thank you to all who watched the show. Thank you for all who have supported the show with contributions and donations and stories and pictures. A lot of y'all, I'm one person, and if Damon's somewhere else, I can't get to Peekskill and Portchester, and sometimes I can't even get to New Rochelle and Yonkers because I'm busy. But someone there will do the videos and take the pictures
Absolutely.
and get the quotes and send it to us, and then I just got to follow up and get some more quotes, and I'm able to do the story. Or someone there will actually write it, and I just make sure everything is everything, and then we post it. So there's been a lot of people contributions on that. Shout out to Priscilla Ichi, because in the beginning she did a lot, making sure elected officials gave us quotes and stuff, and she was also one of the co-hosts, and she did a lot in the beginning of Black Westchester. There's a lot of people. You see me and Damon's face. You see me and Damon's name. There's a whole lot of people behind the scenes that have contributed on one level or another, and we're here because of them. And lastly, I just want to say, a lot of people say that me and Damon are the voice of the voiceless. We did not start this to become the voice of the voiceless. We started this to give the voiceless a voice.
A voice, absolutely.
So when you say, that's Damon, I don't want y'all to even say that's Damon and AJ's paper or that's Damon and AJ's thing. Y'all want the community to say, this is our thing. You know what I'm saying? Because, without y'all, we just two guys on there talking and writing articles and stuff without y'all. If y'all ain't engaging, if y'all ain't following, if y'all are not sharing, you know what I'm saying? And supporting, we just two guys here running our mouth. So we appreciate all of y'all.
Right. And big shout out. And we give the paper for free. We don't charge for the paper. People have came up to us and said, man, you need to monetize the paper and charge for the paper. And we're like, no, man, we giving the paper out for free. So when people advertise with us, the money just goes to printing the paper so we could give the paper to the people, to try to give the people, something that they could gain from and they could and they could be empowered, man. Big shout out, man. Look, big shout out to my pastor, R.C. Blakes. I see him watching. I don't know if he came in and came out, but big shout out to my pastor, R.C. Blakes.
Wait, let me just say something. Pastor R.C. Blakes, I have never met you in person, but I hear so much of everything you say from Damon. I feel like I almost know you. So I just say, I feel like I know you, brother, but we never met though.
Exactly. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks in Atlanta, brother. And thank you for doing what you're doing. But we're just following in brother R.C. Blake's footsteps, man, like other great people that came before us.
The whole tradition of Black Talk Radio.
Exactly.
Bob Laws and all of those cats that did it for years. The tradition of Black African-American newspapers from day one, from the Freedom Journal all the publications. Shout out to Westchester County Press, about to celebrate 100 years real soon. If they haven't already, and they've been the sole voice in Westchester, been the sole voice of Black people in Westchester for decades. And the Westchester Courier that was around for 10 years, and all the ones we stand on all of their shoulders, man. And I wanted to go piggybacking off what Damon said. Not only do we give the newspaper out for free, so we make it free to the people, the website, unlike a lot of websites, and y'all know what I'm talking about, Low HUDs, New York Times and all, there's no paywall where you can read 5 articles and then you got to pay, or 6 articles for the month and then you got to pay. You know what I'm saying? There's no subscriber only section where there's certain articles that you want to read. You have to subscribe to read those. Like Low HUD did an article on me and Damon and Black Westchester and everything. But you had to be a subscriber to read that. So we don't do that. And me and Damon interviewed a pastor in Mount Vernon, and he was like, yo, brother, he said, anybody else would have charged me $400 or $500, $600 to interview me to do that, to be on the show. Like we don't charge the guests. We let the people come on and get the information out. And it's for the people, by the people. We do this for the people. I know that's a saying that Black people throw around a lot, but we really do this for the people. And as my mentor, my biblical institute teacher told me, yo, this is my ministry. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And when you think, I asked him why he said that. He said, yo, think about what Jesus wants you to do. Fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. That's what you're doing, brother. He said, this is ministry to you. And that's why I thug it out. And it ain't easy, yo. Freedom ain't free. We could have sold out. We could have sold out, took a whole lot of money, and that my pockets would be a whole lot better. Let me just tell you. And I'm gonna keep it real, yo. There's no salary. I'm the editor-in-chief. There's no salary. There's no editor-in-chief salary with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I gotta hustle you. That's why I thank y'all for buying my books. Again, I got 3 books. They all on Amazon. Go buy them books. That's one way y'all can support. You know what I'm saying? That puts money in my pocket. Also, your donations and contributions. But yo, this is what we do, and that's why a lot of people are not doing it like we're doing it, because there's not really a monetized. Funny story. So here's the story. We started out, right? Mayor Ernie Davis was in office. All Ernie Davis critics, like the people who supported Richard Thomas and everybody else, oh man, they loved us because we was holding Ernie Davis feet to the fire in a way that nobody else had done before. Anybody in City Hall, anybody that was pro Ernie hated us. A couple of years later, Richard Thomas wins. Richard Thomas flips on the things he told. We helped him get in the office. Then he flips on the things that he talked about that helped, that the reason why we got him in office. And we start holding his feet to the fire. Guess what? All Ernie Davis people that hated us, now they all best friends. And all those people that supported Richard Thomas that loved us, oh, they hated us now. So when I say that, like, and Reggie told me very early on, shout out to rest in peace to Reggie Lafayette, there ain't no permanent friends and no permanent enemies in politics, only permanent interests. So when you do this, there's a lot of people who support you until you hold their feet to the fire and write something that you don't, or say something that they don't want said or heard, or certain criticism, then they don't support you. But then their critics support you. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we get this overwhelming support from everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's conditional on, you know what I'm saying, what the article is at the time. Same thing with the show. Sometimes we can have a guest on, we got ridiculous viewers. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes some people don't, we giving it to you straight and they don't want to hear it. People is logging off a little bit. So everybody wants you to be real. Everybody wants you to be real until you say some shit real that they don't like. You know what I'm saying? So you know what? Me and Damon, we had this conversation recently. We sleep well at night because we do the job, and this didn't come with no owner manual. We had to learn the hard way. We had to learn as we did it. I see our guest gonna come on in a couple of minutes. We had to learn. We made a lot of mistakes along the way. You know what I'm saying? Everything wasn't perfect, but we admitted the mistakes. Sometimes we wrote a story and nobody would talk to us, and we wrote it with the facts that we had. And then we found out there was more facts, and we added those facts. You know what I'm saying? And we addressed it as we we learned. You know what I'm saying? Nobody told us how to do this. This isn't coming no owner manual. Hell, my daughter had to teach me how to use InDesign to even set up to do the template for the newspaper. You know what I'm saying? Like, word up. We did it's been a big collaboration from everybody. So, thank you, all of you, for holding us down, for rocking with us for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully we're going to be here to continue to do this another 10, whatever many years. You know what I'm saying? But as I keep saying, and as it says at the end of every post on the of the radio show on the website, you might look someday, and it might not be too long. You're gonna look around, and we're gonna be going. You're gonna be like, "Yo, we need a black paper. Why we ain't got no black? What happened to Black Westchester? Y'all ain't supported. Yo,
exactly.
So it's your support that keeps us going. The advertising, the donations, the contributions, and financially, and the contributions in content. Writing letters to the editor, writing op-eds, commenting on the website under the article, sharing it. If y'all are watching this on YouTube, go in there and hit that subscribe button below. You know what I'm saying? The notification, sharing it, leaving comments. So you know what I'm saying? You helping the algorithm for more people to find us. You know what I'm saying? Leaving comments on the website right under the story. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just texting me what you feel, write it under there. That helps that engagement and the algorithms and however that works and brings more people to us. Support that way too. So that's all I want to say. We're going to play this. We're going to do something later after this interview. But I do want to say I called Damon last night because yesterday was the 6-year anniversary of when the city of Mount Vernon tried to illegally shut down Cupcake Cutie as retaliation because of us being critical of Mayor Richard Thomas. And it was on our 3-year anniversary, we decided to do a newspaper. This was our 4-year anniversary, which is the 1-year anniversary of the newspaper. We were picking up the newspapers. And as soon as we crossed the bridge to come back in, he got the call from his daughter. They were messing with him. We went there 11:30 in the morning, and we was there at 1 o'clock in the morning, like a 14-hour standoff with the police and the administration. And we're going to get more into that after this, our guest, because our guest came in. Moving towards the guest, as I said earlier, we've been dealing with this situation in Mamaroneck. I've been hearing a little rumbling, something going on in Mamaroneck. Someone in our camp sent Damon a video that was from a village board meeting of Mayor Sharon Torres talking about the affordable housing, maybe the RFP not being right or whatever, and her problem with the process not being right. And so he posted it along with what she said in the video. Let
me make something clear for people. I mean, we got a lot of calls, and I took the dictation from her video. So I didn't add anything in it. I took the dictation, wrote it out, then let AI take the dictation and put everything together. So everything is from what the mayor said. And I've gotten calls. Well, AJ got more calls than me. I got one call.
Emails, text calls.
I got one brave soul that decided to call me because, see, I don't play that. I don't. It was at a meeting. It was on the record. And if anyone had opposition to what the mayor said, then they should have produced whatever was said from the meeting, and like I said, last weekend was my birthday weekend, so I didn't come on the show, but only thing I know is what the mayor said was on the record. And when someone sent me the video, I had questions too. I had the same questions that the mayor had. And it's not selling out or all this other stuff that I've heard. Don't know who said it because they not brave enough to tell me who said it, because I will confront them. And I told the person that called me, well, you could have them call me and they could find out if I'm selling out or not. All right? Because it was based on that. And as AJ said, we invited all parties to come to the show, and we're going to follow up with the mayor today. And I think in that I don't want to waste Mayor Torres' time, but it's a 7-minute clip, and I do want to play what she said from the meeting, and then we're going to bring her on. Okay? Let me bring that.
Took a tour of our municipal parking lots, and they came back with an email that said, the Hunter Tier parking lot is far and away the #1 choice. And then they went on to describe their thoughts on the other sites. They also asked the question about whether or not they could put someone forward to fill a planning board spot. There were emails back and forth from July of 2021 till today. In January of 2022, an RFP draft was submitted to West Hub for technical assistance. By the time we got the actual RFP in 2023, there had been several changes. One of them was a quote, which I'm not going to be able to quote correctly right now, but it basically says that heavier weight will be given to an affordable housing developer who has worked in the village of Mamaroneck. We only have one. Another one was that there had originally been a request to put government offices in, I believe, to move us out of the regatta space and into a new space. That was removed. An item that said increased public parking was changed to provide public parking. So that's just a quick example. I'm going to skip through to a few other emails. West Hab was in an email where they and our prior village manager made the comments, want to keep the momentum going here so we can make our vision a reality. We want to make this work and don't want time to run out on the mayor's time in office. In 2022, there was an email that said, hope we can look to any new trustees to support our mission. There were a number of follow-ups from that January draft RFP. And even when they didn't get a response, they continued to ask us if we wanted any more help on it. There were reviews of RFPs that were much more detailed. None of them were used. In July of 2022, our village manager sent emails out saying, if you don't know, the BOT will be changing 2 members this cycle. We need to be ready for more receptive BOT right out of the gate. In another email, the changing of the composition of the Board of Trustees will make things clearer. And before I go further, I am not accusing anyone on this board of doing anything wrong. I am sharing with you statements and emails from people who don't work here anymore, okay? There were emails that were sent from, Board of Education or anyone in the school board who were then forwarded to other groups for review. In October of 2023, our former mayor sent out an email called Debunking the Latest Misinformation, where he said, we're asking that the new building provides the village with approximately the same number of parking spaces that the Hunter lot currently contains. However, that was never included in the RFP, therefore it was not going to happen in any of the proposals. There's an email from our village manager to West Hab saying, I look forward to our anticipated partnership, and that was in December of 2023. So I have several pages here. I'm not going to read it. I have copies available if somebody wants to take them later. But in the research that I've seen, West Hab was involved in this process from the selection of the property to helping with the draft RFP until now. And I want to be very clear about a couple of things. Every single person on this board, and that includes me, we do understand there's a crisis with affordable housing. I'm not going to argue that with anybody. Anyone who's come to me and said that there isn't, I have had conversations. That's not what's under fire here. That's not what's in question. It's whether or not the process for this RFP was ethical, unethical, or even worse. And just the appearance of impropriety adds to the divide that we have in this community when we need to come together because we have safety issues, we have flooding, and we do have an affordability crisis. We all know that. If you have a house here, you know it's less affordable to live here. If you're trying to move in, you know it's less affordable, and it's harder to move in here. So this is not me saying I don't want affordable housing, because I don't want that coming back later that that's what the point was. The point is the process seems flawed, and as I have more information, I will share that with you.
And we want to welcome Mamaroneck Mayor Sharon Torres. Welcome. It's your first time to the show, so welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Let me take you off mute. Hold on. You have to try to take yourself off mute.
Only 4 years after COVID, you would think I would get this right. So this is my first time on the show. Super excited. Thank you. Belated happy birthday. I had no idea.
Yeah, thank you.
So I hope you had a great time.
Yes.
And congratulations on 10 years.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
thank you.
An endeavor on your own like that without any influence for 10 years is really an accomplishment. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, you know, you heard the story. Someone sent me the video, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So I did the article. I just thought I thought it was very interesting. You know, you was on record. You had emails. And for the record, I didn't put those names up. That was on whatever YouTube video that was sent to me. So I don't even know those people. That was where it says it referred to that. So I'm letting everybody know. You can go on YouTube, pull it up, and those names are up there. Black Westchester had nothing to do with that. But you had questions, and you know, AJ will go into the response of what the actual response, because you know, only one person called me, and it wasn't positive, but it seems like nobody else wanted to call me to talk about it. But my whole thing was, you know, she was questioning the process from what was on the video, and the fact that she stated that she was for affordable housing. It was just the process of what happens. Now, AJ, you could go from there, because
So,
after that,
one thing I want to mention, Leonie did say she texted you, and then I guess you didn't get back to her. So you said nobody reached out. She did say she texted you.
yeah, somebody did, yeah.
So I just want to know that. I just want to put that. Yeah, I just want to put that out there because we want to be clear.
Well, I spoke to her. Actually, she was at my birthday party, and I spoke to her then, and you know, about coming on the show, and you know, then she says, "Well, it's under investigation," and I was like, "Oh, okay," you know.
So
I mean,
on July 21st at 3:07 p.m. Full disclosure, I just got out of the hospital. No big deal. I had to take care of some stuff, and this is like the day or two after. And I get this message from Rich Nightingale, the CEO of Westhab. The Mamaroneck article you posted is inaccurate and extremely one-sided. I would have expected for you to have reached out to our side before publishing. Mayor Torres has been on a completely ridiculous campaign against our organization because she really doesn't want affordable housing, and she attacked 2 Black village trustees as well. Can I call you tomorrow and give you a more balanced view of the situation? Now, full disclosure, again, I just got out of the hospital the day before. I was like 24 hours afterwards. I saw that Damon posted it. I looked to make sure there was nothing that was liable. He didn't call nobody white supremacist, and he didn't call anybody a racist or nothing that could get us, you know, in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I saw most of what I gathered. I hadn't watched the video, that it appeared to have come from the video. So I let it rock, you know what I'm saying? And that was it. So my response to him, and I kind of went a little in because, you know, I'm like, what the hell? I was like, yo, let me stop you right there. Your expectations, not that I owe you an explanation. I spent last week in the hospital. I'm okay-ish. And because I had made that public. Secondly, I find it strange that when Damon writes something people don't agree with, I get messages like this on what they expect of me. And I went on and on and on. And I kind of went in on him. That wasn't really fair to him 100%. But I got tired all this year. Every time Damon decided to exercise his editorial opinion, no one wants to call Damon, even those who have his cell phone number. And I get blown up on my phone and in public and screamed on because Damon wrote something. So I kind of went in on Mr. Nightingale. But I did extend an invitation 4 times for him to come on. When we talked about it in the show 2 shows ago, I sent him a link. When we invited the 3 trustees, I sent him a link. I also sent him a link this week. He had a lot to say in my text message, but has not responded lately and has refused to show his face on the show. So I just want to put that out there. Now, when we played the video the first time, I said, I want to hear from the mayor myself. You know what I'm saying? And I extended an invitation. I don't know if you heard. And I didn't have a contact to you. And then Manny and Leonie and Lou all got at me a separate times. And I had brought them on. And then I received the email from you the next day after they were on. And welcome to the show.
Thank you. There was a comment I just would like to clear up. There is no litigation. So what there is are complaints that went to the ethics board, and the ethics board has asked for a forensic auditor, I guess, to go through the emails, which did come from the system, but to also expand the search for other things. And so the ethics board is looking into this matter to see, where the validity is. But to my knowledge, as of right now, there's no litigation.
Okay.
So I'm perfectly happy to answer any questions you have.
So I wanted to go with the video because I got a call from Lou Young. Basically, I can't remember verbatim because it was a phone call, but basically it was one-sided. There was a lot more to it. Okay. Basically, like Rich Nightingale said, basically it was inaccurate, and Rich words was, it was inaccurate and extremely one-sided, and that you have a ridiculous campaign against his organization, Westchester, because you don't want affordable housing. So let's start there.
Sure. So if I can give you a little history, I was born in the Bronx, and when I was younger, I grew up in the Edenwald projects. So I did not come from some wealthy Mamaroneck family. No disrespect to anyone, but that wasn't my lifestyle. And growing up, even now at my age, making a decent enough salary, I live in a one-bedroom co-op, and that's a walk-up. So I'm not in a luxury building now either, and I don't have a house. So when you talk about affordability and whether or not I support affordable housing, people are making assumptions that they know something about me as opposed to where I grew up and how I grew up. My dad never even got through, I think, his sophomore year of high school. So for me, it was always, you have to graduate high school, you have to get to college, I want you to do better, which I'm sure every parent does. I always want you to do better than I did. And so the idea that I have no interest or, I'm lying or anything else about affordable housing is crazy. And after meetings, on social media, when I run into someone while I'm walking my dog, it doesn't matter. If anyone starts a conversation with me, I have been very clear with them. And some of my, some people who have voted for me or who are even friends of mine may not agree with me. I have friends who absolutely, completely disagree with things I say, but we talk through it. And so there are people in this village who don't want overdevelopment. There are some who don't want affordable housing. There are some who don't understand what the affordable housing is. They don't understand the ranges that we're looking at, which could go up to $60,000 a year income. So it's not what they think it is based on what they've heard. And so I've spent months trying to have those conversations. My concern is that we're putting everything in the same bucket. We're saying, if you don't like the project I presented to you today, then you must be racist, you must, be NIMBY, you must be against affordable housing. I don't think that's accurate. I think if you truly want affordable housing to succeed, you need community buy-in, which is possible. You need to be able to be transparent and answer those questions. You have to have a process that they can watch and see and over time get used to. And I wish it weren't so, but that's how it is. And so the way we've done things has just made it very divisive. And for me personally, I'm not going to speak for everyone else, it has nothing to do with the affordability of the housing. It really has to do with a 1 acre piece of property that is worth millions of dollars, that was purchased in the 1950s because we had a need for parking then, and that we're trying to give away, basically, in order to put up a building with more parking needs in a downtown area. And that it really does look like this was all geared towards a West Hab development. And so I'll share something with you I haven't shared yet. In my further research, these emails actually go back to 2018, not 2021. So I had stopped at a certain point, and then I went back. There's a lot more to the story than is out there yet. And there were zoning changes to allow this to happen. There were zoning changes to allow West Hab to build a bigger building and to have less parking than the prior zoning. Over time, things have changed. The planning board members have changed, et cetera. My biggest concern really is the RFP. From if you're going to send out an RFP and say, hey, I have a 1 acre piece of property, it's worth millions of dollars. We need parking and whatever, whether it's mixed use, affordable housing, doesn't matter. I would think for a project of that size, I should have a whole bunch of proposals coming in.
Right.
And I didn't. And even in the November 23 meeting, and I'm not going to get the exact date, but when Luna Hyperion came in, they did a much bigger proposal. They wanted to purchase an adjacent property, put some more market rate in there to make it a little more affordable, and therefore it would have, I think, like 187 units as opposed to 77 units. The former mayor, while he was in that meeting or just after the meeting, made a comment to them that it was just too big, it wasn't going to happen. Not verbatim, but that was what he said to them. So that leaves you with one out of the two. So everywhere I look, going back over the last 6 years, there has been a tremendous amount of correspondence. And I'll just show you because Lou doubts what I'm talking about. These are the emails. This is 6 years worth of emails, and that's hundreds of pieces of paper. It's not the 25 I released. I just gave enough so that it was believable. And as far as the story being one-sided, they're not my words. I only paraphrased. I didn't make up my own quotes. I read from the emails that were shared between a group of people. So whatever I read was actually written.
Well, those are two things that my conversation with Lou Young, who I've known for a while, back to his CBS days. I've known him, and he actually introduced me to Manny and Leilani when they were running together. So he while everybody else texted me and sent me messages, he actually called me. So we talked, and one of the two things he said was that you're carrying water for a group of people who do not want affordable housing.
Yeah,
and that you're reading, and that you read, and that you read something that someone else wrote.
Correct.
And they said proof of that was you said that's why you didn't vote on it, and you didn't vote, you abstained in the vote, so you were reading something someone else wrote.
So I'm going to clarify those two for you. I don't carry water for anyone. I have people who have voted for me, who have argued with me, and I have said to them, I will be transparent. I will do the best I can. I'm not going to promise you something, and I'm not going to go against my own judgment, ever. I don't have to carry water for anyone. I had a perfectly comfortable life before I ran for mayor. I have had an extremely not peaceful life since I became mayor. I had no incentive to do this to myself. So I don't need to carry water for anybody. And so I have not been. The fact is, Lou, I only know Lou through this job. So I can't talk about, going back decades. But whenever we get into this conversation, it becomes about deflection. Calling them NIMBY, calling them racist, calling them people, that group over there. And to me, that's just further division, because there's really a lot more going on here. It's not you're for or you're against. There are people who don't understand what's even going on. And there are people who think they would benefit who won't. And so we're lacking a lot of transparency here. And as for the vote, I'm actually going to say, to some extent, Lou was right in a way. So I did go back because I thought I was losing my mind. I went back and watched what happened. After the work session, so we have a work session, then we have usually like an executive session, and then we come back for the regular session, which is where our residents can speak. In the executive session, the lawyer had said, hey, can we have a conversation about something? And I said, sure. And he told me what it was about. I said, sure. We went inside and we discussed not keeping the discussion from the work session, which was to choose a preferred vendor and move forward with the negotiations with Westhab, and to instead negotiate with both vendors so that we could keep the momentum going either way. And that was a big conversation with us because we had just done 2 hours about that, and then went into executive session and came out with a different outcome. So in executive session, I voted. Then we came out. I asked, they did a motion, a second, and then I did not vote. I didn't technically abstain. I just never voted. And then I said something to the effect of, I want to thank the board for coming together and trying to, find a compromise that we can live with for now, or something like that. So technically I didn't vote, but that has nothing to do with whether or not I wrote the statement. It just means, maybe I didn't remember correctly whether or not I voted in one room or the other. I absolutely wrote my own statement. You can not like the statement. You can disagree with the statement or think I didn't have the right to make the statement, but I don't need anyone to write for me.
So one thing Rich Nightingale said, and some of the calls that I got was like, oh, you ran this article, you wrote this article about the mayor, and it was full of inaccuracies, and you're talking about a woman who attacked 2 Black trustees. Now, as the editor-in-chief of Black Westchester for 10 years, that's always something that raises my eyebrow, and I want to hear from the person who attacked Black trustees, especially Leilani, who was the first Black, female. But I was given any proof or examples because I asked, and I also said, well, if this was happening, why am I only hearing about it because Damon posted a video? Like, this is what we do. We go after people who abuse their power, and especially if you're coming after Black and brown people. And you know what I'm saying? I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. So because this accusation was made, I have to ask you while I have you on here about the accusation of attacking Leilani and Emmanuel. All I've been told is that, and I read what Rich wrote, this is a person who attacked 2 Black trustees. When you say that to me, you know that you're going to get my attention. So, but that was said to me. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to please address that.
Sure. How did I attack them? I have no idea. I will tell you that Manny and I have had conversations outside of the board, and we do disagree on things, but it's been civil and we've gotten along. Leilani and I, we've had a few conversations also outside of the board. I am not aware of anytime I've attacked her. I do have a couple of emails from people or comments saying that they didn't appreciate the way I spoke during the work session for that meeting. That was a very small group of people. And I probably spoke to Lou more than I ever spoke to Leilani or Mandy during that time because he kept pushing back. So then I pushed back. But I'm not aware of any point in time where I have ever attacked them. I've disagreed with them. I have, maybe had some miscommunications with them, but I am not aware of any, so if you hear a story, I would love to hear it and I'll be happy to respond. Well,
I will. I'm reaching out. I want to. I'm inviting anyone who has any thing to back that up to please bring it to me, because then we can have a whole nother conversation. But I just wanted to be upfront and transparent with that.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to respond. I will tell you some of our meetings have gotten a little bit loud. They're very emotional. Some have gone till midnight or 1 a.m, and we start at 5:15. So there are nights we get heated, and it seems that even though we have this massive flooding issue that I think everybody knows about, and we have this double fatality where we have a large group of people pushing for reform for pedestrian safety, every single meeting we're on this West Hab project. We don't spend 2 hours debating how to fix flooding. We debated for probably almost 2 hours about whether or not West Hab should be a preferred vendor on June 24th. So to me, that's a little odd. If our priority is to fix flooding, why are we fighting about something in the middle of this meeting that we're not even scheduled to do yet? We're still waiting on an appraisal for the property. We paid for a consultant to come in and analyze these 2 proposals to explain them to us and to give us feedback. We have an ethics board that asked for a review, and it was that night that we said, yes, we should have an ethics review of both companies before we move forward. And then that night it was, well, we want to choose a preferred vendor. I've heard enough about West Hab. I know enough. I want to move forward. And the argument did get heated that why would you give away our competitive bidding power? Why would you say I'm going to push away one of the vendors, only work with one, when you don't even have the information yet? Mm-hmm. So Yes, we have gotten, a little bit louder probably at times, but I have never attacked them. And I actually like Leilani and Manny. I don't have an issue with them. I just disagree with them.
Right.
Now, I will say now, I personally talked to Leilani on the phone,
Mhm.
and I think we addressed it last week. She never specifically said you. Other people have said you.
Okay.
She didn't say you. She said there is a group of people that do not want affordable housing who have attacked her, who
I
have
believe you.
tried to make her life hell, and maybe Manny's too.
So I
And
do believe that
in
might happen.
in that conversation, Lou then said, "And you're carrying their water." That's
Right. So I will, I'm pretty direct about everything. I know that there are people in this village who don't want affordable housing. I've never lied about that. I know there are people who want it so badly they don't care how we get it done. Those are the two extremes. That's not the entire village. And although I haven't participated or seen it myself, I would not be shocked if there were some people who were, behaving in a way that they shouldn't, that I would consider to be inappropriate for this type of conversation. But I would never carry water for anybody. And if I knew who was doing it and I knew them, I would sit them down and have a conversation. Because we're sitting up here practically volunteers. We get a small stipend. We put in an enormous amount of hours. And we're trying to do the best we can together. And I came into a group that didn't want me there. So there were a lot of assumptions made. We have, I think, tried to get better with communication. But I'm not I separate someone comes up to the podium and says, I think you have a conflict of interest and you should recuse. And that, I think, is related to the vote. I don't see that as a personal attack. I see that as a concern from a citizen. If someone says, your wife, your sister, your brother, whatever, I tell them to stop. And I have stopped afterwards and said, that's off limits. You can't do that. So, I can't speak for an entire village. There's 20,000 of us. Some agree, some don't, some like me, some don't. But I don't need to carry water for anyone because my life was substantially more peaceful before this.
Right. Maybe you don't know. So I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
Did West Hab secure funds from New York State or HUD to develop this project already?
So I have a book that's about 1.5 inches thick, a binder with all of their stuff. And I will tell you, they have explained the funding, but I am not a financial person, and I'm definitely not an affordable housing financial person. So I'm waiting for the consultant to explain it a little bit better to me.
Okay. And was West Hab asked to review or add comments to the bidding process? And as far as your knowledge, because you wasn't there, and was this process advertised for other developments to participate in the process?
Developers.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I didn't understand, please correct me.
Okay.
About late 2021, a draft RFP was written by an employee that he was directed to do by his employer or his supervisor. And then at some point in the emails, and I don't remember who reached out to who first, there are comments about, here's a copy of the draft for your technical review. Now, which is not necessarily uncommon, but in this particular instance, I would think you could have gone to a consultant or somebody else. After that, it didn't stop, though. It went on for months of a conversation back and forth. Sometimes we didn't respond. Sometimes it was someone from West Hab saying, hey, do you still need any help following up on this? Are we moving forward? But that went on for months during 2022. And 2022 was a very contentious primary. And this is all before I started anything.
Right.
This is when Leilani and Manny were coming in, and there were some allegations against another trustee from the village manager. So there was a lot of stuff happening. As far as their involvement, I wasn't in the meetings, but I see all the meetings getting scheduled. They reference Hunter Tier, they reference the RFP. And so, and then I see the follow-up about it. And then I see the changes, because if you look at the two RFPs side by side, I actually gave out some paperwork. They're highlighted. I highlighted the changes so you could see what they were and you can determine on your own whether you think that was appropriate or not appropriate.
Right.
No other developer at any point in time from I think it was 2000, I don't know, 19 maybe, where they looked at the parking lots and decided they liked the Hunter tier best, to the RFP, to moving forward, there was no communication that I can find with any other developer until the RFP was out, and there were some inquiries that came back in and some questions. Other than that, it's really been staff from here and from the Village of Mamaroneck, and also staff from West Side. And to me, that's a little over involved. And I think that presents a conflict of interest. So we can argue that you don't think the comments they made mean what I think they mean. You can say maybe they weren't discussing what you think they were discussing in the meetings, but the meetings are titled. They're titled Hunter Tier. They're titled RFP. So I have to think that that's what the topic of the conversation was.
Right.
And a lot of these meetings were set like right after a board meeting, or right after an MCAH meeting, or right. So if you look at, if you look at 6 years of emails and meeting notices and minutes from meetings and things like that, and you lay it out, it appears as if the process got skewed. And I'm perfectly comfortable saying, I don't know that it rises to some level of corruption. It could be people are so passionate about something, and when they find like-minded people who are also passionate, they push forward to get it done.
Right.
And I think Leilani last week said, there's a point at which she has some tunnel vision. I understand that, because when you are passionate about something, you do get extremely focused. But there's a difference between advocating for that which you're passionate about and following the processes to make sure it happens in a way that's transparent and legal and all of that. So I don't know what this rises to. I know it appears as if there is impropriety.
Right.
And I think that it's my job to make sure that I'm sharing that for two reasons. One, this is a volunteer position, basically. I make almost nothing. So I have to have a full-time job in order to live here. Everyone in my job knows that I am now mayor of Mamaroneck, and they follow these things. And so if this becomes an issue later, I'm not risking my job over an ethics issue, because I'm in human resources. That's a big deal. And the second is my job is to serve the public. And so if I have a fiduciary responsibility, and this is $1 million, multi-million-dollar piece of property, an acre of land, and the process looks like it was all intended to go a certain way, how do I stay quiet about that?
So I need to interject. So this is to those watching the show, because obviously that's what this is coming from. Mm-hmm. So I'm receiving messages.
Okay.
And all I've asked, right now, physically, and all I've asked, I have no problem with people wanting to stay anonymous. But when you say certain things, you have to give me something to go on. I have the mayor on, and I can ask her directly right now. And everybody know me and Damon ain't scared of no smoke from nobody. So let me be clear about that. You know what I'm saying? And as I said, if someone provides proof of her attacking the two black trustees, I said to you here, me and you will have a different conversation. But no one provided me proof. I can't accuse you of something without proof. I asked you the question to address it. A statement just came through. AJ and Damon are being played by the mayor of Mamaroneck. She founded the Mamaroneck Observer. They destroyed Manny and Leilani consistently. So being that that's the only thing that they're saying specifically, would you like to address that?
Sure. And to be clear, I'll answer any question you have, or anyone that they send in a question. I have nothing to hide. So back in 2022, I guess, after the election where Leilani, Manny, and Lou won, there was a lot of contention because the Board of Election numbers weren't coming in right. And so people were saying who won and back and forth. And so at that time, the former mayor, Tom, had made some comments on social media about me that were, relatively rude. And I had started to respond. And I had neighbors who were asking me about the referendum that were out. I think there were 3 or 4. Nobody understood what they were, and I realized I didn't either. So I went and I researched them and I put something out. And then the former mayor got mad at me for doing that. And so I was at a point where I thought, I don't know enough about what's happening in this village, and I don't even know what the referendum were for. So I wanted to start something. Facebook page, website. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to share information. And I met with some other people who felt the same way. And what we decided on was this blog format that we called the Mamaroneck Observer. We founded it with our own money so that we wouldn't have to, take advice or direction from anyone else.
We get it.
We were self-funded, right? So
Exactly.
the first few months I was writing mostly. I attended every meeting. I wrote about the meetings, etc. Once we hit about, I guess it was May 30th, maybe, when I turned in my paperwork to run for mayor, because I decided at some point after some of the comments that were being made, I was going to do it. I then stepped back from the Observer, and I have not yet written for them again. So it's been a year plus, I guess. So yes, I did found that paper. Yes, I did write for it. I do not currently write for it. And yes, they did have a story after, and I don't remember the exact date, you'd have to look that up. They did run a story about how Manny's name was on paperwork for an eviction for his mom. And I think they had blocked out names and things like that. They reported on it. I didn't do the reporting, but they did the reporting. You can read it and decide if you think it was an attack. What they were saying is that if his family is being evicted from West Hab at the same time that West Hab is going to be, putting forth a proposal for the Hunter tier lot, that it's a conflict of interest and he should recuse. So that's where that story went. And then it went to the ethics board, which I think you guys already know about because you had Manny on here to discuss that. And in all, just to be clear, Manny and I talked about that before I ever requested the opinion. I suggested that he do it himself. We talked about it. I said, if you don't, I feel like it's incumbent upon me to do so. I want to be very clear. I said straight to his face in person. And he said, I understand. He disagrees, but he understood. So I did submit that for an advisory opinion to the ethics board. I don't know that I count that as an attack or that I destroyed Manny or anything like that. These are facts that affect the financial, a financial issue with the village. We're responsible for $48 million plus all of our properties, obviously, and everything that's going on. So, for me, if it was me, I would have just recused. It's a vote. If you look like you have a conflict, you just recuse. And then what happened is he refused to recuse, and then it just blew up from there. So, if somebody wants to blame me for having helped found a paper that then reported on something that Manny was doing, I don't know how else to respond to you.
Well, it says they destroy Manny and Leilani consistently. The paper, the Westchester, the Mamaroneck Observer.
They have written about things that have happened, and I'm sure Lou, Leilani, and Manny have all come up, but I am not aware of anything that was a purposeful attack to hurt them, but they were reporting on things that happened. So we can argue about whether they should or should not have, but I'm not involved anymore, so I have no control over what they do.
And the last part of what I want to say, and this is to everybody listening, because obviously I'm looking at the numbers and I'm looking at the comments. People are listening. This is actually a topic that I guess a lot of people are interested in. Basically, everyone keeps saying this. You don't know the whole story. And they said the mayor is full of shit. So the point of not knowing the whole story, everyone keeps saying it's one-sided. You don't know the whole story. The mayor
what's the story?
That's my point.
What's the story?
And no one is giving me the story. So you don't do me justice by telling me that. I have the mayor here. Mm-hmm. If you give me something substantial, I can keep your name out of it because I didn't mention who sent this. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned names of particularly Rich Nightingale because he's the CEO of West Hab, and the trustees. they were on here speaking for themselves. So, you know what I mean? And they didn't tell me anything in confidence that I'm blowing confidence about. We had other conversation, and that part is not being shared. But what I'm saying is, you can't tell me I'm not doing my job if you don't give me or Damon the information to do my job. I gladly ask this mayor anything. I will hold her feet to the fire the way I hold everybody else's feet to the
First
fire.
of all, let me say something, man. I got to put my Damon hat on. Excuse me, Mayor. Look, don't come to us with no bullshit. If you got something to say, I'll send AJ the link. AJ has the link. AJ, all them people that's texting you, send them the link and have them come on the show. Now, if they're not going to come on the show, they need to just be quiet.
But I would say, no. Let me say this.
Let me finish. Send everybody the link. See, because this story was about a process that was questionable. And I know people that do bidding and they're watching the show and they're like, yo, what they did was illegal. Allegedly.
And Dr. Bob said something like that after watching the video.
And I'm looking at a developer right now. There should have been an open and bidding process to be fair and secure with the best project. It's a conflict of interest if they had input in the process. This is from a developer.
And that's what Dr. Bob said too.
This is from a developer. So let's stay on what the article was about. Her questioning the process. And from my understanding, and man, you could correct me, at that time, everybody that's complaining wasn't on the board. Who was on the board at the time? That has everything.
You mean who I talked about with the emails?
Right.
Oh, okay. So the emails go back to 2018. They include some staff who are no longer here, like planners and assistants and things like that. The bulk, like 90% of the communication is between our former village manager and the senior vice president of real estate in West Hab. That is the majority of the back and forth. There are other calls where Rich Nightingale is either on an email or on a call. Tom Murphy is on an email or a call. There may be somebody else here or there. But the bulk of the conversation is between two specific people. Now, in 2022, going into 2023, Lou and Manny were on some of those calls with Rich, Tom, Andrew, and Jerry. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm not here to make everyone happy. If I find something that looks really bad, I'm going to say something. And if you have a fact that you want to dispute, I'll answer the question. I'm here. I want
to say this, Damon. There are people, and we do know people because of whatever jobs they have or whatever, that may not say certain things for losing their job or whatever. I have no problem. As the editor-in-chief, I get a lot of anonymous information that I have to independently confirm. Or I have a situation like this where people will give me questions to ask whoever the guest is, and they don't necessarily want their name mentioned because there is a real thing about retaliation.
Right.
I cover that all the time. So I just wanted to say, there are people that's not going to come on the show or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And ask the question. But my point is, for me to do my job, for me, we're trying to get to the bottom of this. We posted the video. Trustees said that there was whatever, we brought them on. I extended an invitation. We're bringing you on. We're having a conversation right now. We're getting to the bottom of this, and that's what this is. I also said before you came on, a conversation that a former reporter and a correspondent at News 12, Ty Milburn, and we had, it was specifically about Mount Vernon, but it deals with all of Westchester. When you deal with these situations, you almost got to talk to 10 different people to get to anywhere close to the truth. It's like peeling back an onion. You know what I'm saying? I understand there might be some stuff that may be from your perspective or your agenda. There might be some stuff that the other people might have on their agenda. My job is to take all of this, and I'm having y'all on so I can ask questions. I asked them some tough questions too. That may have sounded like I was being argumentative with them. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm supposed to do. But if you just tell me, I brought this up because everyone keeps telling me I don't know the whole story. You're not telling the whole story, but they won't tell me what the story is, or just give me questions. Y'all are hitting me now. Hit me with questions, and I will gladly. I read the two things that were sent. unapologetically. You know what I'm saying? And let her address them. If there are things that you want me to ask or her to address, just hit me, and I will gladly ask. And I don't even have to put your name involved. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no problem with that because I do know the retaliation. I cover these stories. Retaliation is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Political retaliation is a real thing. It's people in power that you just don't want to. You don't want to just listen. You might want to give us the information. You don't want your name involved because you know they're gonna come for you. Me and Damon have no problem. Come for us because we want all the smoke from everybody. We don't care about it.
So
You know what I
AJ,
mean?
after that week, I did get a letter from Rich Nightingale, which is posted online. It's 2 pages. There is nothing in there that disputes anything I've said, but there's criticism that I've had a problem with West Hab. I'm going after West Hab. I'm disrespecting the nonprofit, and there's a lot of accusations in there, but there's nothing that says the emails didn't happen, the conversations didn't happen. We did not provide any technical assistance. We did not pick the lot. They are not, no one has disputed that. They're saying, I don't understand. They're saying that nothing illegal happened, nothing was traded. That's possible. You know, maybe it was just completely altruistic, or maybe there's a gain somewhere else, like in a political career or helping someone out or whatever. I don't know. But nobody, even Rich Nightingale or Tom Murphy or Jerry Barbario, in the emails they sent me, can detail what I have said that is inaccurate. They are upset, and I understand that, but they have not told me where my facts are wrong.
Well, I specifically asked Rich Nightingale what was said in the video that was untrue.
Mm-hmm.
What is the inconsistencies? All I get back is this is the person who attacked 2 black trustees. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. How did she attack the 2 black trustees? Because that is an interest of mine. And I'm going to be clear. I told Leonie on the phone, yo, I endorsed her. I included her in my book. She is the first black female trustee in Mamaroneck. And if people are going to come for her, they're going to have to deal with
known.
her. No, but one, that was my thing, why I didn't know. But you're going to hear from me. And you ain't even got to worry about her. You got to worry about us. You understand? No, real talk. I had that conversation.
But if I'm not attacking her, then I'm not going to get offended because I understand. Why would you not want to defend her? Anytime there's, somebody putting themselves out there, they deserve to be defended. But if I'm not attacking her, then you guys can ask me all the questions you want. I will tell you, we do disagree. Absolutely. But I have never been at a point where I felt like I have attacked her or where someone has stopped me. There have been people who have said in a meeting that maybe they didn't like a comment I made or, the tone of my voice, but I could say that for them as well. We get a little heated sometimes.
Well, council, we've been to several council meetings in Mount Vernon and other places. Those things do get heated. Someone else said we shouldn't have ran the video of pure innuendo and speculation, especially one promoted by reactionary anti-housing forces without seeking context from the other side of the issue before running it.
Hold on, stop. What other side? She read from emails. Mm-hmm. Then this is getting ridiculous. This is really and this is really getting ridiculous. And this is from a journalist standpoint. Like come on, guys. Y'all getting ridiculous. It's the process. She's questioning the process. Now, I'm going to ask you, Mayor, would you rather it be opening? It will be an open for bidding. Like, was it open for bidding?
It was open for bidding, and we got 2 responses.
But the question was, the RFP was specifically made or allegedly, for what? Yeah, and let me tell you, this happens. It happens in all the cities, mm-hmm. And some people just don't question. So would you be in favor for the process to start all over again and then open the bids for other agencies or other contractors or developers to come in.
In my perfect world, there is a new RFP that goes out that takes into consideration the projects that we need done in the village. So for example, our police department is in pieces. You know, you have to like go outside to get to another building to change to come back inside. We don't have a very clear transport for prisoners when they go from the police station to the courthouse. There's no air conditioning. There's no elevators. This is a building that probably should come down and needs to be built to house what we need today, not 100 years ago. It's across the street from the 100-tier lot. It has parking in the back and on the side. We have spaces I either rent or own. I'd have to check from the Regatta, which is a condo down the block. We also have storage needs. We have fire boats because we flood, and so they have these extra boats to go help people. And we have some other equipment that's a little bit larger. And so if you're asking me how I would handle it, I would want to kind of pool our resources and say, how much property do we have? And what do we need? How much parking do we need? What do we need for resources?
But I'm talking about specifically
and then add affordable housing into that, because now we're getting something that we need paid for by somebody else. We're bringing in affordable housing. We're fixing things in the village, and we're going through a process where we would probably have 10, 12 bids coming in, and now we really can negotiate. So I wouldn't be in favor of just restarting on the 100 tier, because the way I understood it was that the original plan was to keep the parking spots. So you're talking 200 spots, and then build on top of it 30 to 40 units. But that's not financially viable. And we need the parking. So that means I need more space. So to just redo this in the same spot doesn't really get us what we want. You really need to pull some more property into it.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. I got another question from a view. Now this is a viewer checking us out from Metro Atlanta, outside the Atlanta area, who knows, who has nothing to do with this, who has nothing but is involved in these type of situations. And their question was, ask her what she feels is missing from the equation of hypothetically getting the ball rolling for affordable housing. Like, what would rollout 1, 2, 3 look like ideally? How many residents would ideally be served?
I don't know enough about development to tell you how many people would be served. I can tell you that right now, we're in a place where I would not be comfortable moving forward, because I think it's going to end up in litigation. So there's no like 1, 2, 3 to start up. I think we need to stop. We need to reassess and then do a brand new RFP that invites in as many developers as we can get to get us the best deal for our village, which will include affordable housing. I'm not trying to exclude affordable housing from anything.
Right. Now this bid that's in question, it was 30 units of affordable housing?
No, in April of 2023, in a meeting, a board of trustees meeting, we were told that there would be 30 to 40 units of affordable housing on top of a new parking lot, because we do need to replace that parking lot at some point. And then over time, those numbers changed. And by the time we got the proposals, we had less than 100 parking spots where we really needed 200 plus. And the size has gone from like 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to now it was 77, I believe, for West Heaven, 187 for the other one. So the numbers were dramatically different, which is why I think people were quieter in like April, May, June of last year, because everybody thought, okay, we're going to keep our parking. They're going to add 30 to 40 apartments. Not that big a deal. But then when you see 187 units and like 50 parking spots, or 77, and I forget the numbers.
How can you have 180-something units and only 50 parking spots?
Exactly. Well, so those would be the public parking spots, and then they would have the private, and that's the point. It is across the street from our police department and our courthouse. It is across from the library and the MLM theater, which during certain times, you have peak hours, obviously, when people are in court or going to the theater. It is half a block away from our downtown main street of Mamaroneck Avenue. So we need the parking. That it was purchased for parking. We cannot prove that we don't need the parking. So I don't even know that legally we can give this property away anyhow. But without that parking, I don't know how you move forward, because we already have a parking issue. So if we're going to further irritate that parking issue, where does that leave us, and how does that even serve the people in that building?
I covered a story some years back in the early days of Black Westchester here in Mount Vernon. It wasn't affordable housing. It was about a building, 42 Broad. There was a group called the Fleetwood Citizen Society, and they were concerned about a municipal parking lot that was going to be taken over by the development, and that the residents wouldn't have access to this parking lot no more, or whatever the process is that they do now. And, then they will end up paying this developer to park there, like, a monthly fee that is more than what they pay, whatever now. And there was a big thing about the numbers of pocket apartments, the number of, this was a big thing. I covered the story. It was like a big thing. And it went on and on for a while. I've done other similar stories about development going up, and the expense of the city, the sewer system, the school district, the additional kids, all of these things are supposed to be taken into consideration and are not always. I don't know if any of that is going on here, but I'm just saying I've done several series, and definitely parking was definitely one of the main issues in this incident of this building that the local residents were fighting against.
So once we decide, let's just say we're going to move forward. Let's just pretend for the sake of argument we're moving forward, and we decide to go with one developer. They are going to have to pay for studies to be done that would talk about the school system and how that's going to be impacted, and environmental features and all of that. And so if that came out in a way that was going to be harmful, obviously we'd be able to get out of the contract. If it didn't, we would have information to share. But that hasn't been done yet. The only thing we know is that the consultant is partially through her project, and she has come back to us and said the parking that both of the developers are proposing is inadequate for your needs. And so we have gone back. This is in a public meeting, so it doesn't really matter if I share. We decided to go back to the two developers after our last meeting and say we need between 150 and 175 spots that are for the public. So right now we have 200-ish. We're dropping our number in order to compromise to get to a better number. And on August 12th, we're supposed to hear back from the two developers.
So wait. So again, I understand this whole parking issue. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because the question is, and this is a question that came up in this example in Mount Vernon, mm-hmm. about the condition of the current parking lot.
Yep.
Ask if the lot in its current state is safe for people to use, one, and also ask what evidence is there that we need parking. There is a study from 2017 that states the village does not have a parking issue. The issue is where the parking is located.
Okay, so the first question, back in, I think, 2019, they did an assessment of the parking lot. We were given a quote for how much it would cost to do some repairs. The current village manager is looking to see if those repairs were done. He's only been here a few months. He doesn't have, obviously, that long-term memory that somebody else would have. So we're trying to figure out if those repairs were done at all. There are exposed rebar. There is exposed rebar and some spots that are blocked off so that you don't park there because concrete has come down. So it does need to be replaced at some point, and we're getting closer and closer to that point. So it will need to either be repaired, replaced, or completely changed into a different project. That doesn't mean today, but it might mean a year or 2 years, whatever. And so we're looking at it now. We're going to have somebody check it out to see how safe is it, and if it needs some repairs while we're going through this, we will repair it. And I'm sorry, the second question was?
Ask what evidence is there that we need parking. There was a study from 2017 that states the village does not have a parking issue. The issue is where the parking is located.
Right. So the consultant did come back and say that she was referencing that study. I also don't know from 2020, though, if we all remember COVID, a lot of us now work from home and have different schedules than we had before. So I don't know if the parking needs have changed to either increase or decrease based on changes in where we work and how we work. We don't have a newer study. This is all before 2020. The consultant has said something similar where she feels like if you look at the entire village, we may have enough parking, but it's not focused in the areas where we need it. The areas where we need it is where all the stores are and all the restaurants are and the courthouse and the Emmeline. That's the high density area, and there's not enough parking there. So if we take 100 spots out of there, you're making a situation that's already difficult much, much worse.
If this project didn't go forward, and I understand, again, from my stories, a current parking situation could be what it is, but when you add 30, 40 apartments or 100 something apartments, you got to figure more than half of them have cars, and there's like so many cars that you add. So what? Let's take this project out of it. If they didn't move forward with this project, what then would happen to the lot?
I'm going to go back to
if it's, especially if what I'm understanding, if it's the conditions are not that great, because again, that situation with Mount Vernon, what would be done with the lot? Was the lot going to be fixed, or what's going to be done? How would y'all move forward?
So I don't know the exact answer because I don't want to speak for 5 people. I would think in the immediate time, we would want to put some money in to repair it because I don't want a lawsuit and I don't want anybody getting hurt. One of the things that was lacking from both proposals was an interim parking plan. So if you were to get this job and you're going to take down that parking lot because you have to demolish before you build, where are those cars going? So we've asked for that as well. Even if we were going to repair it, we need to come up with some sort of interim parking. Where are they going? I don't know, because nobody spent time on this. We've all been so focused on the affordable housing piece or the West Hab piece or what's going on or the process. Nobody's looked at where do you park while you're doing the work, because it's going to have to get done. So we're looking at, there's some space behind the police department. We're trying to figure out like where can we do something, but we haven't had anybody come in and actually give us a plan yet.
I just want to say I have at least 5 people. I'm glad that there's engagement.
Okay.
Blowing me up with questions that I'm not going to be able to get to most of them. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately.
If you want to email me questions, I'm also happy to just respond to you and give you answers if I have them.
I will definitely do that, because time-wise, we're not going to. There's every question that I ask seems to spark other questions and other questions, and then more people want to come and ask questions. And I wish some of this would have been done closer to the beginning. But the bottom line is, so the issue has come to Black Westchester. Mm-hmm. When an issue like this comes up, this is our process. This might not be other people's process, News 12 or Low HUD or whatever, but News 12 or Low HUD is also not going to give 30, 40 minutes to an hour to everybody to have this conversation. Like I think the trustees got close to an hour too. You know what I'm saying? I plan on both of them being 30 minutes, but that obviously wasn't possible. But you're not going to get that. And even if they interviewed you for 30, 40 minutes or an hour, they're only going to show 5, 10 seconds of it or minutes of it. Like you're not going to see the whole thing.
Right.
This is a little process of what we try to do and use the show for, to go with the articles and stuff. So now we're hearing about it. Now I am inviting everyone who is watching, who has information, to email us blackwestchester@gmail.com. But make sure, keeping it 100, make sure that what you said to me is facts over feelings. We want to keep it factual. I don't care what you feel about a person. I don't care. You might not like the person. I don't like everybody. I'm just saying. But I need, and if you're going to tell me I don't have a whole story, or if you're going to tell me a person is lying, all I ask is at least tell me if the people who said that you were lying, because then someone else said, I hear what you're saying, AJ. I know you and Damon are doing your job, but I still feel, the mayor's still lying. What is the mayor lying about? Give it to me, and you should see I ain't got no problem asking the mayor or anybody no questions. You know what I'm saying? But give me the information to ask the questions. You keep sending me she's lying, or what she's saying is not truthful or inaccurate or whatever, does not help the situation. And I'm speaking generally, not just for this, because this happens often. People come in, want to say certain things, and you're not helping the situation if you're not giving me. I don't live in Mamaroneck. I don't do the day-to-day in Mamaroneck. I live closer to New Rochelle and Yonkers, and I don't know the day-to-day in both of those places. You know what I'm saying? I barely know what's going on in Mount Vernon because there's always so much stuff going on. There's always stuff I don't know. I'm one person. We're two people. We can't do it all. We don't have the investigative muscle or team that a News 12, Low HUD, or any of the alphabets, ABC, CBS, or any of those have. You know what I'm saying? We're doing this. So this is the process of how we do it. You came on, we got you on the record. The trustees came on, we got them on the record. One of the things, and I keep quoting, a good friend of mine, longtime radio show host Bob Marone, I used to always question him, and Damon too. Why'd you let Richard Thomas or whoever come on the show and say some of that BS that they said? Said, AJ, the most important thing is getting them on the record. You know what I'm saying? Now they're on tape. They're on the record. You know what I'm saying? We can move from there. So I'm trying to get everybody on the record. Rich Nightingale had a chance to come on and still has a chance to come on, but has not accepted or responded after his initial barrage of you were lying and we should have never ran the video. You can be more helpful by giving me, you say she's lying and she lied about this. Tell me what she lied about, and I'm gonna ask her about it. And that goes for any guest. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we need from you, the community, especially where you live there. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we move on successfully. I want to thank you for your time, though. Oh. And
I just have one more question.
Okay, go right ahead.
I just have one more question. So you said there's I guess there's a consultant looking at all this at this time. Now, is it to go it right? So once the consultant gathers all the information, now I know you also had questions about the parking lot. Would there be another RFP put out? I mean, the process start for affordable housing after all this is cleared out on who did what, when, how, who knew what, and when did they know it, and all that other Washington D.C. stuff, so another RFP will be created and put out for affordable housing, because I think at the end of the day, the concerns of everybody is, will affordable housing be built?
Right. So if this were not to happen right now, I don't know how fast the next step is, but we do have a lot that needs to be repaired, and we do need affordable housing. So I would expect that there would be another RFP, but that it probably wouldn't look the same. And,
okay.
It would invite in, a way to close gaps in the village and help save us some money. But I have already given this multiple times. I will say it to you both. I am committed to bringing affordable housing in. I signed the letter for New York State to be a pro-housing community. I helped make sure that we got the ad hoc affordable housing task force up and running. They have 1 year to do a lot of research, to come up with some numbers, give us some guidance. I'm committed to doing that work. I'm just not so committed that I'm willing to overlook the process issues that I feel, are problematic.
Okay.
Let me ask you one question. And I did this purposely by having y'all on separately. Actually having all three of them on last week, that might have been considered a quorum too.
Yeah.
Would you? I mean, seriously,
that might have been a violation of open meetings law. I'm not sure.
Exactly.
Right. Because I've had this with other groups where I've had private, not streamed meetings to get to the bottom of something.
I've already had emails complaining that was a violation, so I don't know.
So what I was going to say is, I don't think I can get all of y'all on, but let's just say let's say Rich Nightingale agreed to it. One of the trustees agreed to it, and you. Could I, if that was even a possibility, would you agree to come on and we could now have all of y'all on and address it from all angles? Because I heard from one side, I got messages from every place else. I got messages why what you're saying is not true, but nobody's telling me what you didn't say is true. I got some stuff complaining about one or two things that was said last week. So it's just, would you agree to that? I know it couldn't be all of them, because I thought about that.
No. Yeah, you can't have three of us.
Right. No, that's what I said.
Decision.
Well, that's what I said. Rich Nightingale, you, and maybe one of the trustees.
I will tell you that I have no problem answering any question in any forum at any time. So if you have something where you would like for me to answer questions or speak, and it does not violate any of our open meetings laws or anything like that, I'll be there.
And last week, if there was any violation, that was on me. I had 2 on, and then I was asked by Lou, can he come on? And I invited him. And now that I think about it, especially after all the 10 years of me doing this, that may have been considered a quorum, and it might have been a violation. So
but that's not on you. That's not on you because we're trustees.
I put that together though. So
doesn't matter. We have a choice to say no, and as long as we know our rules and we follow them, that's our decision. That's not on you. Okay.
Well, again, I'm not trying to do any. I'm not trying to have any quorums or breaking any open, but that's why I said you. That's why I said you. Personally, and I'm gonna say it, I don't think Rich Nightingale is gonna show his face on this show. I honestly don't. And
no, I was already told by somebody that he ain't.
But I'm saying it because I know someone in his camp is listening. I'm saying I don't think you have the heart to come on this show and have a conversation. And I want you to prove me wrong by contacting me and say you will come on. And I can put you and the mayor on, and at least that part, and maybe invite one of the trustees on. So Rich Nightingale, the ball is in your court. You the one that started this barrage of messages coming to me. You the one who said she's lying and then has never provided anything. You the first one to say all of that. You the one that said everything was inaccurate, and you have refused to have a conversation to respond to any of my my messages afterwards. So at the very least, I would like to have Rich Nightingale and you together. And if one of the trustees, because I think 2 out of, what are y'all, 5? Yes. Are y'all 5? 2 is not violation or anything if I had 2 of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, because y'all are a village, not like a city.
Correct.
In the cities, the mayor is not part of the count. Is not part of the board.
Yeah, I count as a trustee.
So I could have had 2 of them and you.
Yeah.
But so I understand villages and towns, the mayor or the town supervisor is actually an extra member of the board. Yes. So, and maybe in New Rochelle, since they have a city manager thing, I think their mayor is part of their board too, because the city manager is actually the one that's in charge. Lastly, we throw a lot of letters around, and I at least want to just always educate people. Most of my viewers, and if you're not involved in real estate or government or anything, what the hell is an RFP? Like most people don't even know what that is. So if you can briefly just break that down for people that don't know. What is an RFP? Why do we need them?
So an RFP is a request for proposal. It is a guideline that explains what the project is, what we're doing, and requests that you submit proposals to do that work. So it could be something like, we need repairs done someplace, but then we think they're going to be expensive. We put it out and then we look for the lowest bid. And in government, we often go for a lower bid. The RFP is intended to be the guideline for what the developer or the other vendors are bringing back to us so that we can compare them apples to apples. So for example, if the RFP said, we want to have 200 parking spots plus 50 apartments, which would require 1 spot per apartment. Well, you're putting in 50 units and there's 250 parking spots. Now, how are you going to do it? How are you going to make that work? What's your configurations? What's the cost? What happens? If you just say, hey, we have a piece of property, we want to do something with it, send us a proposal. It's not accurate enough for us to be able to compare one to another. So it's very hard to compare, for example, West Hab with 77 units to someone who's purchasing an additional property at 187 units and now is going to add some market rate to compensate. How do you make those numbers match? But when you do a request for proposal, you usually give enough guidelines so that everyone's working on the same information, providing their cost for that whatever that is. And then you choose most likely the lowest bidder. Sometimes you don't choose the lowest. It might have some other criteria, but you list every criteria so everyone's on a level playing field.
I have one last question that just came.
No, okay. I have a question.
Okay. All right. So let me get this.
Let me. Someone texted me to ask you, listener, did you consult with any other mayors about the process?
Same person, same question. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, there you go.
So I did attend a luncheon, I don't know, 2 months ago, somewhere around that time, where there were a number of people from other municipalities. One of them was the mayor of Pelham, who has recently worked on a private-public partnership, and they did a presentation. And so I did talk to him about their bidding, their RFP process, what they went through, et cetera.
Chance Mullen, right?
Chance Mullen, yes. But I haven't gone out to all the mayors to compare because I know what an RFP process is. So I didn't feel like I needed to. I mean, I could, but I haven't.
Part two of that question was they have a lot of shelters, employment programs, etc. So how do we know that there wasn't anything underhanded with that either?
What do you mean underhanded? Like they were going to say affordable housing but do something else? Is that what underhanded means?
I don't know. That's the exact wording of it. They have a lot of shelter, employment programs, etc. So how do we know that there wasn't anything underhanded with that either?
I wouldn't make an assumption that because, and I work in social services, so when I look at things, I might look at them differently than say a for-profit business. Just because West Hab is providing a service to a population that maybe you don't have a lot of experience with, doesn't mean they're doing something underhanded. They just have different types of business, like selling different types of products. So they may have shelters that has nothing to do with this proposal, whether it was underhanded or not. But it's completely irrelevant. They responded to an RFP with a proposal for an affordable housing development. Maybe I don't understand the question, but I don't see how that would be underhanded in any way.
Anybody else who has questions, please feel free to keep them coming. Either those who have been texting me and messaging me, or email blackwestchestermag@gmail. The mayor has already committed that if I put them down on a piece of paper, I mean an email, and I send it to her, that she will respond. And
absolutely.
We can run that as an article, follow-up questions or whatever. Lastly, I was told last week that what Mamaroneck is doing that is ideal compared to other people, they're looking for something that the whole building is 100% affordable, not just a 10% or 20%. Right. And so if you can talk about that, or what's that about?
So the plan was that every single unit would have a certain AMI, and that was, I'm going to mess with the average median income for Westchester. That is based on, I think right now, something like $145,000 a year. So the percentage of that you make would qualify you for an apartment at a specific rent. And so the West Hab project was between 30% of AMI and 80% of AMI. Now, 80% of that means like $120,000 a year. And then the Luna Hyperion project went up to 120% of AMI, which means that your income could be as high as I think like 160, 170. Don't rely on my math, but I'm close. And so I think the original intent was that you would get as much funding as possible in order to get down to the 30% AMI to help the people who make the least amount of money. But neither of them came in with that being the biggest group. The bigger group is the higher earning group.
So Dr. Bob could make it, but he is watching and he does have a question. And he said, I did a quick search of the internet for studies of affordable housing in the village of Mamaroneck while this discussion was taking place, and found a report released February 24th of this year about the housing situation in Mamaroneck Village. Is this report still timely? Can our viewers look to get more information about the housing situations by reviewing it?
So the housing report was done by our former village planner who then resigned. And I believe it is on our website, which is just type in Village of Mamaroneck and you should be able to get to the website. And I believe it's there. If not, it certainly can be requested. Is it timely? I don't know. This is the same planner who was with us a few years ago when we started the zoning changes with West Hab, and then he left and then he came back. And I know he is passionate about affordable housing. I think he's a very good planner. I think a lot of the information will be accurate. How we use that information, I'd have to go back and look at it again. I haven't seen it obviously for like 4 or 5 months, and we have something different happening every other week. So, but it is available. It would be available. It was in a public meeting, so it might be attached to minutes, or it might just be on the website.
I'm gonna end it there as far as questions concerned. Again, all people can send their questions in, and I will also send this with that. So if you have any more to add to that, you can. Any last words? One, I want to thank you and the trustees for coming on. unlike Rich Nightingale, who made a lot of noise and didn't come on. I want to thank y'all for coming on and starting the ball rolling of the conversation. That is obviously a difficult conversation that a lot of people do not want to have, and that no one else has seen fit to cover the situation, even though it has been going on for a minute. So hopefully this conversation is helping to get to the bottom of this situation, which there was no way we were going to do that all here or in last week's conversation. So we will continue moving forward. But do you have any last words or anything to add?
Well, sorry.
First, I see you want to join the show.
She wants a lot of attention tonight, apparently. First, just thank you for having me on the show. I did watch last week's, and I just wanted to make sure that at least, what I'm writing, what I'm saying is mine, and that nobody is putting anything on it. And that if you wanted to hear different sides, I really appreciate that. And I'm completely open to having additional conversations about affordable housing, about this project, whatever it is, because I'm not against the affordable housing, but I really do want the process to work. And I really want the community to find a better place with this. The people who don't want it, we need to have those conversations because they still live here. And the people who want it no matter what, we need to have those conversations to bring them in and say, there's still fiscal responsibility. So how do we make this work? And how do we commit to transparency and community above this very divisive, political scene we have now that is national? We have a very small village, and we want to the best of our ability, do what's right for that village.
Have y'all had a town hall? Any town hall with the community? Okay.
Yeah.
Community piece. Well, we want to thank you for your time. You know how to contact me. I will be in contact with you. This will not be the last, of course. I don't think people are going to allow me to make this the last. It's not going to be the last we hear of this. So there will be, at the very least, a follow-up. If everyone has questions and sends them to me, I will send them directly. I'll put them all together and send them directly to the mayor. And when she gets them back to me, we will post that with links to the videos and everything. And that'll be the next article to go out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Have a great evening. And again, congratulations and happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yes. So that is the Mamaroneck affordable housing crisis, if you will. I thank everybody for tuning in, because there were people tuning in and engaged in this conversation from Mamaroneck, from other places in Westchester, from outside of Westchester, and even as far away as Metro Atlanta. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I thank all of y'all for tuning in. I don't know if everybody wants their names mentioned, so I won't do that. Just thank you all. I did want to go back before we left, though. I wanted to do this before this interview, and I didn't expect this interview to be that long. Yesterday was the 6-year anniversary of when Mayor Richard Thomas in the city of Mount Vernon tried to illegally shut down Cupcake Cutie in retaliation for what Damon and I wrote. Actually, they had a press conference, and I never speak at press conferences, but I spoke that day because some of the reason for the retaliation were my words. I did most of the writing. So I felt that, my whole thing is we always stand by the process. And even if a business needs to be shut down, the way they went about it, go in there telling them they got X amount of minutes to leave, and then they're going to put chains on the door. That is not how you shut down a building. And we fought for not just Cupcake Cutie, other businesses in Mount Vernon for that same thing. And some of those businesses were in violation, but they didn't fine them and stuff and do the regular way. They just told them they had 15 minutes to leave, and they put chains on the door. So we fought with those too. But this particular situation was Damon's family business, owned by his daughter, and his wife works there too as well. And this was retaliation for, they tried to retaliate a few different ways, and they couldn't, and they were unsuccessful, so they went after Damon's family. And yesterday was the anniversary of a 14-hour standoff between us and the Mount Vernon Police Department and the city of Mount Vernon.
So, I just want to say something. So we're gonna play this video, and I text my daughter, and she, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're right." But let me move this out. I just want to make something clear, man. Like you, when you do the work, that we do, there's a lot of people are going to hate you.
They'll try to come after you too.
Yeah, and they're going to try to come after you. And when they come after your family, like the way Richard Thomas and his brother Butch and Roberta James and other people that I don't even know.
And Joe Spezio, who's not around no more. But
Joe Spezio, he's dead. God took him off the planet because that's what God does, right?
Okay. I won't go that far. But go ahead. Got you.
Listen, man, I keep it 100. That's what God does. And and my mother told me straight up, everybody that did me and my family wrong, God was going to handle them. And they all got handled. The only one got handled by my hands was Butch Thomas when I choked his ass out in White Plains. And that was 3 years later. So I don't have no problem saying that he could go to police if he want to. I really don't care. But sometimes when you do things, when you feel you have the power to do things, and then when your brother's not mayor no more and you don't have no power, it's just mano and mano. And I choked the shit out of him. And I'm just saying that it is what it is. You don't mess with no man's family. You don't mess with no man's children. You don't mess with no man's wife. You don't do that. And if someone sends this to Butch, I really don't care because I'll choke him out again. It doesn't mean nothing to me. But when you do that, when you suspend someone's wife because you have the power to do it, because I didn't shake your hand at an event, you want to suspend my wife like a sucker. And then y'all want to tell people, oh, it's just politics. That's not politics, bro. That's not politics. That's just being a devil, a demon. And this is why your life is in shambles now. And you're still trying to get into politics. And God is not going to allow you to do that because what you have done to my family, I'm keeping it 100. And I really never talked about it. But I'm going to talk about it today because nobody treats someone like that. And you get mad at us for reporting the alleged illegal activity that you did. Then you get mad at us for reporting it. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say one thing, and this is straight up to Richard Thomas. Every time you run, I'm going to take $10,000 out of my savings account and print papers about you to let people know the type of person that you are, that you will attack a man's wife. You will have Roberta James put my wife's personal information on Facebook. Butch, you will share it. That's something that I will never forget. And Richard Thomas, I'm just making it 100. I know, man, I'm following Christ and you're supposed to forgive, but you're never supposed to forget. But a character like you should never be in office. Should never be in office. And the fact that a lot of these coward motherfuckers, and I said it, walked around with guns, black officers with guns on their hip, allow a white garbage man, because that's what he was, boss them around, is amazing. I've never saw so many cowards like that just because they could get some overtime. And I really don't care what people say. But it's all going to come out. It's all going to be on the big screen that everybody can see. So, I just wanted to make that clear. But God still have us here, and our family is doing good. But that period of time when we were doing work for the people, we had watched a young man who could have been anything just fall to an influence of power and didn't want to be accountable for his own self. So August 3rd, they tried to shut down my daughter's and my wife's shop. Right after they suspended my wife for like 10 months for nothing. And we had to go through the rigmarole. And then they was trying to fire her. They were actually trying to fire her. And then I had to pull some strings to even get the lawyer to do what he was supposed to do. So let me tell y'all how God works. All the people that was conniving against my family because of Black Westchester, and I'm going to call them all out right today. Richard Thomas, he had to resign from his office of mayor. What was the lawyer's name? The city lawyer.
Lawrence Bakari.
Lawrence Bakari was found guilty for stealing money. Joe Spezio, God had COVID take his ass out of here. The law firm of Steve Isaacs, God took his biggest, and he was the union attorney. And I hope he come at me because I still got audio tapes of him. He lost his biggest contract, $21 million, New York City Corrections, because I sat down with all those people that got in and told them what he allowed to happen to my wife. That's one of the reasons he lost that damn contract. And if any union have him, they need to fire him. Alonzo West, he had 3 strokes. My mother was totally correct that God will take care of your enemies without you lifting a hand. So we're gonna show this, and imagine they just come and try to shut down your business for no reason, just because the mayor didn't like you, and the punk ass mayor was sitting up the street in his little car watching everything go down. I'm trying to play this right here. I can't make it that bigger, but it is what it is.
Can you turn it up?
That's as far as it could go. Oh man, what am I doing? My
Yeah, I
bad.
was going to get you. Yeah, what?
So if you see here, they got the tape, they got the red tape in front of the store, they got the Constapos outside, and we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, you can't hear anything though.
You can't hear it?
No, I can't. I don't know. Y'all tell me if y'all hear it.
Political retaliation
Now.
because of Black Westchester has exposed the illegal activities and Deputy Police Commissioner Federal Employment Species. So they now know that my family's business because we are being critical of his administration. This is what Mount Vernon has come to. And the sad thing about
Can you hear it?
the politicians,
A little bit.
All right. I ain't gonna worry about it.
Lyndon Williams, Tubilo.
So at the end of the day, you know, we went through something, and it just shows people that, you know, you're gonna get pushed back when you speak truth to power. You just have to be centered in God. One thing my pastor told me, R.C. Blaze, well, that was my mission, to break down strongholds. That's my ministry. And I totally believe it. And this is what we use Black Westchester for, to support the average person and to break down strongholds that oppress people, especially Black people. And, you know, we want to thank everybody for their support. We want to thank everybody for their support of Cupcake Cutie, because that incident was the best marketing tool ever for my wife and my daughter's business. They talked about it all around the state, even outside even outside of the state. You know, so you know we're gonna keep going, and that's something, and that's an issue that I will never forget, man. You know, in part of the history and of the last 10 years of Black Westchester County, that we were literally attacked. And what else it taught me, there's some people you just can't even rely on, man. You got to keep your circle so small that it's a period.
I'm going through that exactly right now.
And don't trust people. You know, and don't trust people. Let me tell you, I had dudes, grown ass men, will tell my wife after this dude, and they know, and they were in conversations how he was going to attack my wife. Go back to my wife and tell her, you wouldn't be going through this if it wasn't for your husband. They are cowardly Black men to allow a Black woman go through that. And they wonder why I really don't fuck with them now. You wouldn't be going through what you was doing if your husband wasn't saying what he was saying. What kind of Black man would say that to another Black woman? This is real talk. This is what happened. And the crazy thing, some of the articles I didn't even write.
Most of them you didn't write.
Exactly.
I wrote. That's why I spoke at that press conference. I wrote most of it.
But
and I have receipts for everything. I had receipts for everything I wrote. We put documents in, court documents, everything, videos, everything.
But because she was low-hanging fruit, because she worked for the city of Mount Vernon, she was an easy target. And then you have grown Black men being cowardly. See, you know, and we talk about now, oh man, Black men need to stand up for Kamala and all this. If he's a coward, he's gonna be a coward awake and in his sleep. Don't even think that. See, a lot of people don't know about that. They suspended my wife for 10 months unjustly, Richard Thomas, and tried to shut down my family business because we was critical of his alleged illegal activity.
Went after your job too.
Well, they tried to get my job, but that wasn't happening. I mean, Butch called my job talking about I threatened him with a gun, and I don't even carry a gun. But what I did threaten him with was an elbow to the throat and a headbutt to the eye, which he got both of those. So, you know, I mean, people got to understand, you know, what you're doing, man, when you're out here speaking truth to power. And you definitely have to have faith in God, because they're going to come at you in any type of way. The devil is going to come at you. People are going to come at you. And you got to pray. You got to eat. You got to try to eat right. You got to exercise. You got to be in shape, because the devil's going to come at you. If you're going to live your purpose, if that's your purpose. But hey, man, we here, and we
Still
continue to be
standing.
here, and we still standing, and we're going to continue to stand no matter what people say. We're going to continue to speak truth to power no matter what people say. You could get mad, or it's only two things you're going to do. Well, it's going to be three things. You could get mad, you could come on the show, or you could debate, or you could fight. They said, why you say that? Because that's the only things you're going to do. And I advise you only do the top two. He said, why would you take it to that level? Because that's all you could do, because truth is truth. And when you want to push back on truth, those are the only things you could do. Because we're not going through all this attacking family. We're not doing that again, politicians.
Not just politicians, anyone in the power,
anybody.
anyone in the position of power.
We're not going down that road. Absolutely not. We're not going down that road again. I was very much a gentleman throughout that whole process. But I'm too old. I'm too old now to play those childish games with anybody or any damn politician, because you out here robbing the people and you get mad that we report about it. That's all I gotta say, man.
Well, to quote David K. Jones, you get mad that we wrote about you doing dumb shit. Stop doing dumb shit.
That's how I understand, bro. Like people get mad.
People used to say, yo, y'all making Mount Vernon look bad. We making Mount Vernon look bad for reporting the illegal and unethical things other people are doing. But the people doing the illegal and unethical things, they're not making the city look bad. We are.
Exactly.
So, yo, we just want to thank everybody who rock with us. We're coming out with a 10-year commemorative issue. You have one more week if you want to take out a journal ad, a commemorative ad to support Black Westchester, celebrating our 10-year anniversary. Hit us at blackwestchester@gmail.com. Also, for those who don't have anything to take out ad, or smaller people that just want to support, the PayPal link is down there, and or check the Black Westchester, whatever. You can make a donation or a contribution. It's those things that have kept us going and kept us making the paper, the website, and the radio show / podcast free to the people. So we're doing this for the people. Everybody say they do something for the people, but then they charging the people an arm and a leg. And what usually happens is the people who need the information the most can't get it. So we're giving it to you. We're addressing the issues that need to be addressed. We're trying to educate our community a little bit. We're advocating for our community. Because, when you do Black media, let me be clear, we don't have the luxury of white media of just being the reporter or just being the person telling the news. No one asks News 12 and Lowhud, what are you doing for what have you done for the community? No one asks white reporters that. We have to be the advocates, the activists, the ones who fight for the legislation. We don't have the luxury of just doing the story. You know what I'm saying? So, that's a lot of what we've been doing. And shameless plug. You can read about how it all got started in my book, Black Westchester, The Origin Story. Available on Amazon, or you can holler at your boy, get an autographed copy. The whole story, a lot of what we talked about, a lot of the Cupcake Cutie story, a lot of what we went through, the retaliation and everything, all of that, how it all got started way back when. It's our 10-year anniversary. It's all in the book. So get that book and check out some of the articles. I'll put a link to what Damon tried to play. For those who couldn't hear it clearly, I put the link under the show on the site, so you can click on it and you can watch the video on your own audio and hear the video and see some of that for yourself. So, with that said,
we out of here, man.
We out of here. 10 years, episode 404. Still standing. That's the theme. Still standing, and we thank you all for your support. keep the support coming so we can keep bringing you the news of the Black point of view, and we can keep doing this, giving you that real talk for the community. Until next week, peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. Today, look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it.